You are already in the room. You have been in many rooms like this. Rooms where people called you because they ran out of other explanations. Rooms where medicine failed, where psychiatry failed, where love and reason and science all pressed their hands against a locked door and came away with nothing. You have done this 6 times before. Nothing prepared you for tonight. The smell hits you first. Not sulfur, not rot. Something older than both. Something that sits at the back of your throat like copper and wet earth, and something you cannot name. Your body recognizes it before your mind does. Your pulse climbs. Your hands, which have held the dying, which have pressed close the eyes of the dead, your hands are trembling. You step deeper into the room. You tell yourself it is just a room. You almost believe it. The house belongs to a family named Calloway. You do not know them. Your bishop called you at 2 a.m. 4 days ago, and his voice was not the voice of a man managing a situation. It was the voice of a man afraid of one. He told you to go. He told you to take everything. He said the word please twice, which he has never said to you in 12 years. The house is in a suburb, ordinary street, ordinary trees. The neighbors have their lights off. They do not know what leaves 30 feet from their bedroom windows. You climb the stairs to the 2nd floor. The family is huddled in the living room. A father, a mother, a teenage boy with eyes that have seen too much already. The mother reaches for your hand. Her fingers are ice. She does not speak. She only looks at the ceiling, at the room above. The door at the end of the hallway is closed. You notice the walls. The wallpaper, something floral and faded, has been scratched. Not clawed, scratched. Carefully, methodically, in lines that repeat at perfect intervals. It takes you a moment to understand what you are looking at. Letters. The same word, over and over, carved in something that is not quite a language you recognize, running from the baseboard all the way to the ceiling in both directions as far as you can see. The grooves are dark. You do not examine what made them dark. The hallway is cold in a way that has nothing to do with temperature. You have felt cold rooms before, drafty old churches, winter chapels. This is different. This is the cold of something absent, as if warmth itself made a decision to leave. You put your hand on the door. There is resistance, not physical, not a lock. Something on the other side pressing back. Gentle, patient. The way a large animal rests its weight against a gate without forcing it, simply reminding you it is there. You open the door. She is lying on the bed in the center of the room. Her name is Margaret. She is 43 years old. She is a school teacher. She teaches 3rd grade. These are the facts her husband gave you on the phone, his voice cracking each time he said her name, as if the word itself had started to mean something else. She is restrained. Her wrists and ankles are bound with strips of white cloth that her husband knotted himself. She asked him to. She was lucid for 12 minutes, 3 days ago. She used those 12 minutes to tell him the cloth needed to be white. It needed to be blessed. She needed to be tied to the frame, not the headboard. She was very specific. He does not know how she knew these things. Neither do you. She is still when you enter, too still, not asleep, not unconscious. Still the way a held breath is still, the way anticipation is still. The room has been cleared of everything personal. Her husband tells you he did this on instinct, that he walked in one morning and started removing photographs and mirrors and books and could not explain why until he was done. The walls are bare plaster. The floor is bare wood. The single bulb overhead throws a circle of yellow light that does not quite reach the corners. You notice the corners are very dark. You notice you do not want to look at the corners. You cross the room and stand at the foot of the bed and look at Margaret Calloway, and you say a quiet prayer, and you open your case. She does not move. She does not open her eyes, but something in the room shifts. A pressure change, like the moment before a storm, the moment the sky decides. The air becomes dense. Your ears fill with a low, almost subsonic hum that you feel in your molars more than hear with your ears. You take out your Bible, your stole, your holy water. The hum gets quieter, not because it stops, because it is listening. You have performed 6 exorcisms. In 3 of those cases, the explanation turned out to be psychological. Severe dissociation, undiagnosed schizophrenia, 1 case of carbon monoxide poisoning from a cracked furnace flue that produced auditory hallucinations so convincing the family had driven a priest 300 miles in the middle of winter. You were grateful in those cases. You went home and slept. In the other 3, something was present. You felt it. A personality behind the behavior that was not the person's personality. A will that was not their will. Those 3 cases lasted between 2 and 9 hours, and when they were over, you went home and did not sleep for days. This is different from all of them. You know it the moment you begin the opening prayers. The words leave your mouth, and the room receives them the way a lake receives a stone. There is impact. There is response. The air tightens. The shadows in the corners move in a way shadows should not move without light moving first. Margaret's head turns, slowly, toward you. Her eyes open. You have been told about the eyes. Her husband described them carefully the way someone is careful when they are trying to stay composed, when the memory is still too close and too large. He said the color was wrong. He said they looked like eyes that had been borrowed from something that had never needed to see daylight. He was right. You hold her gaze and you continue the prayer, and you understand that this thing, whatever it is, has been here before. Not in this house, not in this woman, but in the world, long enough to have learned patience, long enough to have learned that priests come and priests go, and priests are, ultimately, tired men in old clothes holding water and paper against something that has existed since before paper was invented. It is watching you with professional interest. It is not afraid. The realization lands in your chest like cold iron. This thing knows you are afraid of it. More than that, it expected you to be. You begin the rite. You have memorized it. Every word, every pause, every invocation. You have practiced it until the Latin sits in your mouth as naturally as your own name. You raise your voice and let the words fill the room, and you feel the familiar sense of standing on solid ground, the ground of 2,000 years of accumulated faith. And for a moment, for exactly 1 moment, you feel steady. Then Margaret's back arches, not the dramatic arc you have seen before, not the theatrical display of a thing announcing itself. This is controlled, surgical. Her spine bends until the geometry is wrong, until the human body's architecture is being overridden by something that has no interest in it. And she holds it the way a held note holds, for 12 seconds, 15. You count without meaning to. The cloth around her left wrist begins to fray. You do not stop praying. The temperature drops again, lower this time, and you can see your breath forming in the air between you and her, and the breath hangs longer than it should, longer than physics should allow, suspended in the yellow light like punctuation. The bulb flickers. In the brief dark, you hear something from the corners, not movement, a voice, except not a voice, an imitation of one. Something that has listened to human speech long enough to understand its structure, but not its warmth, not its weight. And it produces a sound in the shape of language that bypasses your ears entirely and arrives fully formed in the center of your skull. You don't understand the words, but you understand the tone. It is amused. You raise your voice and continue. You press on with the authority of your ordination, with the authority of the church, with every instrument of faith you carry, and Margaret begins to move against the restraints, not violently, not desperately, but rhythmically, as if the thing inside her is keeping time to some music only it can hear. The scratching begins on the wall behind you. You do not turn around. An hour in, maybe more. Time is not behaving correctly in this room. Your voice is beginning to fracture, not from fear. You are past fear in the way a swimmer is past the shore. Fear requires a return point. You are only moving forward now, into the dark water, with the shore behind you getting smaller. What is fracturing your voice is effort, real effort, the kind that costs something because the words are not landing. You feel it the way you feel the absence of an echo in a room lined with cloth. The prayers leave you and something absorbs them, takes them in without reaction, the way deep water takes falling objects, accepting them without agitation, without consequence. The holy water strikes her skin, and she does not react. You had been told she reacted to the first priest, that the reaction was immediate and severe, burning, screaming, physical evidence. She looks at the water on her hands with what you can only describe as curiosity. Then she looks at you, and you understand. The first priest was a test. It showed her what worked, what caused reaction, what caused pain. The thing inside her is not the same thing that showed itself to the first priest. It retreated. It changed its presentation. It studied the examination and it adapted. This is not new to it. You are not new to it. You are a known quantity. The scratching on the wall behind you intensifies. You can hear the pattern of it now. And against your better judgment, your mind begins trying to decode the rhythm. And the rhythm is wrong in a way that pulls at something deep and animal in your brain, and you lose your place in the right. 3 words. You lose 3 words. The silence in those 3 missing words is the loudest thing you have ever heard. Margaret smiles. She shows you something. You will spend the rest of your life trying to explain what she shows you, and you will never find the words for it. It is not visual. It is not auditory. It arrives through no sense you have a name for. It is simply a knowing, placed inside you without permission, the way a key enters a lock. She shows you how old it is, and the oldness is not a number. It is not a date. It is a depth, a vertical drop that goes past history, past myth, past the oldest memory of the oldest thing that ever tried to name the darkness. It is older than fear. It is older than language. It is older than the concept of old. And it is amused by you, by your stole and your Latin and your water and your 2,000 years of accumulated certainty. Not contemptuous, genuinely, curiously amused. The way you might watch a child build a fort against the weather. The room is no longer the room. You can still see it, the bed, the walls, the bulb, but they have become thin, like paper held over a flame. And through them, you can see something else, not a place, a condition, a state of the world before the world decided to be the world, raw and patient and very large. You are still praying. You do not remember deciding to continue. Your voice sounds far away. It sounds like it is coming from outside the building, outside the night, from some other version of this moment where you are still in control of what is happening to you. The cloth on her right wrist parts. She raises her free hand and holds it palm out toward you and does not move it. The action is not threatening. It is worse than threatening. It is gentle. It is the gesture of a parent calming a child, a teacher quieting a room. The words stop in your throat, not cut off, not forcibly silenced. They simply find nowhere to go. You collect yourself, what is left of yourself. You have a choice that no text prepared you for, that no bishop briefed you on, that no training covered because it was assumed you would never reach this particular moment. You can continue, or you can stop. You continue, not from certainty, not from faith, not in the clean, burning way you used to understand faith before this room. From something simpler, stubbornness, refusal, the part of you that is not a priest, but just a person, a man in his 40s with bad knees, and a thermos of cold coffee in his car, and a library of books he has not read yet. That part of you that has not given up on any small, ordinary future. You raise your voice. You find the words again. You speak them into the room like you are driving a nail, one syllable at a time, and you do not stop when the walls begin to crack, not structural cracks, cracks of pressure, radiating from the corners where the dark is deepest. You do not stop when the bulb goes out and the only light in the room is somehow coming from nowhere and everywhere and has no color you can name. You do not stop when Margaret goes completely still and you can no longer tell if she is breathing. Then she exhales, long and slow and human. Her hands go slack. Her body drops into the mattress like something that has been held up and released. The pressure in the room moves, shifts, withdraws, the way an ocean withdraws before a wave, and you stand in the sudden space of it, and you keep praying. Quieter now, but constant, constant. The cold releases, degrees at a time. The smell fades. By the time the first gray light of morning comes under the door you left open, Margaret Calloway is asleep. Real sleep. Her face is her own face. You sit down on the floor at the foot of her bed. You are shaking. You have been shaking for some time without noticing. The family comes in at 6. The mother weeps in the doorway. The father thanks you and cannot finish the sentence. The boy looks at you and says nothing, but his eyes have a question in them that you have no answer for. You pack your case. You collect your stole. You thank them, and you walk down the stairs and through the front door into the cold October morning. You sit in your car for a long time before you start the engine. You drive to a diner 2 towns over, and you order coffee and eggs, and you sit in a corner booth, and you watch the people around you. A couple arguing quietly over a menu. 2 men in work jackets eating in silence. A waitress who moves too fast and spills a little of everything, but keeps smiling anyway. Ordinary people in an ordinary morning. You drink your coffee. You eat your eggs. You breathe. It is over. That is what you tell yourself. You went in. You held the line. You brought her back. It is over. You are halfway through your second cup when you become aware of the man at the counter. He arrived after you. You did not hear the bell above the door. You did not see him sit down. He is simply there, the way a word you did not say is suddenly in a sentence. He is eating, looking at his plate. There is nothing wrong with him. There is nothing unusual about the way he sits, the way he holds his fork, the way his shoulders settle. Everything about him is deeply, precisely, surgically normal, except he has not moved. Not once. Not in the way that people move without thinking. The small adjustments of weight, the turns of the head, the blinks, the unconscious animations of a living body. He is absolutely still, in the way the room was still when you first walked in. You put down your cup. You tell yourself you are tired. You tell yourself this is what exhaustion does to a man who has not slept, who has spent a night in a room with something ancient, who has given everything he had to a fight that should have broken him. You tell yourself. He turns his head, slowly, and when his eyes find yours across the room, they are the wrong color. Wrong in a way that bypasses your eyes and lands directly in the oldest part of your brain, the part that came before language, the part that has only one function. He looks at you the way something looks at you when it has been patient for a very long time. And he smiles the small, soft smile of something that knows it does not need to rush because you are already carrying it, because you brought it with you when you left the house, because you were never the one who ended the session. It did. It decided when you were finished. It decided when to let her go. And now it is sitting 12 feet away in a quiet diner on an ordinary morning. And it is looking at you with something that is not quite recognition and is not quite hunger, but leaves very close to both. Your coffee goes cold. Outside, the town goes about its business. Inside, you do not move. You sit very still, and you begin quietly, without hope, without certainty, with nothing left but the stubborn refusal to be undone completely. You begin to pray. It watches you do it, and it waits. It is very good at waiting. It has always been very good at waiting, and now it knows exactly where you sleep.